Dear respected brothers and sisters, elders and our ustads here that are here today, I would like to say Jazakumullah khairan to Global Aid Trust for partnering with us this year on their tour and allowing us to tell you about the importance of Zakat here in the UK. National Zakat Foundation started in 2011, and it was as a result of some shocking stories that were coming to light. In fact, a couple of brothers who were in Birmingham came across a story where they were invited to find out about their sister who was actually soliciting herself in order to make some money for her family so that she could have food on the table. This particular sister actually had a husband as well who was made redundant from work. They had a house, they were falling behind in payments, and as a result they could no longer afford their home. So a very real situation came to light, and when these brothers found out, it was the start of National Zakat Foundation. We thought that, here in the UK, where we don't have an organised system of distributing zakat money, we thought we would set up a system which is divinely ordained. If you go to the likes of Emirates, if you go to any other Muslim country like Qatar, for example, they all have infrastructures in place to distribute and collect zakat money. Here in the UK, there's no such system. We have a plethora of masjids across the UK, and each one is acting independently and dealing with cases on a case-by-case basis. But for the first time in the UK, alhamdulillah, we have National Zakat Foundation, who started to work with the likes of Global Aid Trust, the likes of your masajid here, and other masajids across the UK, so that there is an organised infrastructure, so that there is a thorough application process for us to deliver the right of those people who actually deserve it. One case that actually comes to my mind is a couple of months ago I was here in Manchester, and this is a case in Manchester actually, in Ashton-under-Lyne, where a sister passed away and a family could not afford to bury her. And her family actually came to us as National Zakat Foundation. They were very embarrassed. They were embarrassed that they couldn't afford this. And they had nobody else to turn to. And we're talking about a sister who had, for a couple of months, as a result of delays from the hospital, not being able to get buried, and further delays of not being able to afford the burial, to bury that sister. So alhamdulillah, National Zakat Foundation was in a position to help that. And these cases are very real. This was a case in Ashton-under-Lyne 2 months ago. Last week I heard of another case in the Victoria Park area, which is much more nearer to here. And this sister was an Afghani sister who could not speak English, but was homeless for some reason. We're dealing with her application now, but immediately we got her into a safe environment and made sure that she was safe and secure. So how does National Zakat Foundation actually help these people? This sister who was homeless near the Victoria Park area, this sister who could not get buried, that sister who was looking to support her family because her husband was made redundant. How do we help them? Well, we basically, as the brothers have already, as our ustads have already said, we are normally that stopgap in between the state welfare benefit and the recipient receiving that, and actually the person being made homeless or in a situation where they can't receive that benefit. So we're that stopgap in between. So whilst they may be eligible or that application process is taking place, it can be as long as 3 weeks to 3 months, depending on verification process and making sure that the state welfare is actually happy with their application. It's altogether a different story if they are ineligible. But those who are eligible, they actually fall between that gap in that space of time. They're waiting for these funds to come through, and whilst they're waiting, there's no support. And that's a responsibility upon us. That's a responsibility on every one of us. And so that's one area of work. And then another area of work is actually those who are not able to take care of themselves, nor will the state actually help them. So we essentially respond to the difficulties that people are facing through an application process. And we have 5 key areas of work. Is awareness, and this is part of our campaign here today. we're raising awareness of these issues that are actually taking place here in the UK, and I'm sure that many of you would be, if not shocked, very surprised that these cases are actually taking place at our doorstep. These are our brothers and sisters. This is not non-Muslims that we're talking about. This is not us walking down Winslow Road and looking at brothers and sisters who are begging and walking straight past them because we think they are not authentic, that they are not eligible, that they are perhaps a fraud. No longer do we have to turn away or carry on walking past them, because you know, every time you walk past them, you feel something inside your heart. What if they are eligible for zakat? What if they are eligible for support? Well, now you can turn them to the National Zakat Foundation, where we can take care of that process. We can take care of the zakat money that you bring in and make sure that they're distributed to only those who have right upon it. So awareness is one element. Education. So in front of you, you have packs here today, and in there you will have a zakat guide, and our respected ustads have also given their generous time up to make sure that we understand the principles of zakat and how to calculate them. Then we have calculation, and obviously we have been through that as well. And many of the areas of calculation we weren't too aware of before, we are now aware of, especially the point of nisab actually. Even for myself, this came to me as a surprise when I first started learning about it. I too myself did not know when my nisab started. So alhamdulillah, we have now got the ustads raising awareness and educating us about these issues and making sure that we know how to calculate it properly. Because one of the most important things is what our ustad said, that even if it's that £2.50 that you have not calculated or you have not added, that is the right that you have kept of somebody else's wealth. And we need to make sure that we are calculating accurately. So then collection comes into place, and National Zakat Foundation will collect zakat funds, and we will distribute it to those eligible here in the UK. And then our last one is actually distribution, which I've mentioned already. So what are the key areas of our work? So we do deal with applications on a case-by-case basis. So if you, for example, you do come across somebody that is eligible for zakat, they can go to our website and download an application form, or they can request one from us and we will give them one to them. If they are in an emergency situation, then we will speak to them and we will make sure that they get out of that situation as soon as possible. So for example, this sister in Victoria Park, she needed a place to stay, and she was homeless there in that situation at that time. It is inappropriate for us to give them an application for them to fill out, a long application. So instead, what we did was we called the hotel and we made sure that she was taken care of for the night, and then we started the application process, inshallah.
Well, so far, how much you got?
Okay, I'll come to that point very quickly. In fact, as of the end of last week, we are dealing with our 600th application. We have only been running for 2 years. It's our 600th application, and we have 100 live cases at the moment. We have actually distributed over £500,000 of zakat money to those who actually require it. Those who actually have a haqq upon it. So this is one thing that we need to bear in mind. If there's anything you take away from today, it's that these people are real, they exist here. And when you're giving that zakat money, they have a right upon that money, and you are saving their lives in some situations. You are preventing them from soliciting themselves. You are preventing them from actually turning away from Islam. If you go to any other country, you will find that the Christian missionaries actually pay money and they turn away from Islam, for example, and turn to Christians because they help them. Well, we have a divinely ordained system where that is actually possible, and they have a right upon that. That is zakat. So when you are calculating your zakat this year, do make sure that you do not forget the plight of these people that are here in the UK who are actually suffering. They are real cases, and you can find out more about them on our website, the details of which are on these banners here and inside your folders. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.